covering climate, weather, and the industrial enterprise from Penn State Meteorology. Here is Up in the Air.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Up in the Air. I'm student meteorologist Logan Williams.
And I'm Joe Spear. Today's stories featured a wide array of topics ranging anywhere from viruses that are traveling through recent opened seawater passages and the recent wildfires in Australia.
We also have a feature from student meteorologist Matt Honig. But first, we're going to kick things off with Update in the Air. Wildfires are once again in the headlines as parts of Australia experience catastrophic conditions. 2 states in the country, New South Wales and Queensland, have declared states of emergency as over 120 fires ravage the countryside. In New South Wales, over 2 million acres have burned, along with over 100 homes. The worst fire danger was present on Tuesday for areas around Sydney, Australia's largest city. Meanwhile, back in Queensland, 9 homes have burned to the ground, with the fires in that state killing 3 people, according to the Bureau of Meteorology. Monday, November 11th featured extremely dry weather, with barely any rain falling over most of Australia. These dry conditions are indicative of an extreme drought that has been choking Australia for the past several years and is expected to continue through the summer season, likely making for a continuation of the extreme fire conditions throughout the next few months.
The recent decline in sea ice has opened up pathways that allow waterborne diseases to travel across the Arctic. A 15-year-long study analyzed mammals, specifically seals, across a multitude of regions in the Arctic to track the movement of the phocine distemper virus. In 2002, the virus was responsible for the deaths of thousands of seals in the North Atlantic Ocean. Now it is being observed in the North Pacific. The virus was identified in sea otters in Alaska in 2004. Researchers were able to track the seals and the virus using satellite data. The data was also used to see just how far the mammals could carry the virus. During the time span of the study from 2001 to 2016, there are 2 spikes in infections, both coinciding with large reductions in sea ice. As sea ice is projected to continue decreasing, scientists are now on high alert about what other kinds of dangers can now traverse the Arctic.
Cyclone Bulbul has devastated parts of coastal India and Bangladesh. The storm formed from the remnants of severe tropical storm Matmo, which brought heavy rain and flooding to much of Vietnam. Afterwards, the storm reformed in the Indian Ocean and made landfall in the Indian state of West Bengal on November 9th. 6 people reportedly lost their lives in Bangladesh due to falling trees, while 7 people were killed in West Bengal, according to the state's Minister for Disaster Management. Transportation was shut across the 2 regions, with 2 of Bangladesh's busiest ports, Mongla and Chittagong, shut for several days as the cyclone lashed the region. Storms such as this one used to cause massive death and destruction once they hit the low-lying and poor areas of Bangladesh. But in recent years, the country has implemented many new policies regarding evacuations and preparation, which has no doubt saved many lives.
Climate change is a really daunting subject to talk about. Even simple conversations about the subject can lead to nowhere. But a group of musicians have turned to music to explain the impacts of climate change. The group, known as the Climate Music Project, took data about sea level rise and converted it to audio for their piece named What If We? Each foot of sea level rise corresponds to a different audio frequency. The song starts out with current levels, but progressively gets more chaotic as time progresses. The bass that represents decreased land area and drums that represent rising seas become more aggressive and clash. At some point towards the end, the tone turns lighter to represent hope that people might change to help fix the climate. The group is based out of San Francisco, but has performed all over the world. Climate scientists believe that this might be a more helpful method of communicating climate change, since some can't understand the graphics used. A lot of information typically packed into a single graphic or image can be confusing. A picture might be worth 1,000 words, but when it comes to climate, a song is worth more.
Over the past 5 years, climate and weather-related events have cost the United States economy over $500 billion, according to an official from the Federal Reserve. Kevin Storeau, executive vice president of the New York Federal Reserve, has said that climate change and its impact has significant consequences for the U.S. economy and financial sector through slowing productivity growth, asset reevaluations, and sectoral reallocations of business activity. Fed Chairman Jay Powell told Congress that while addressing climate change fell to other government agencies, the central bank would use the tools it has at its disposal to prepare financial institutions for more severe weather events. In late 2018, scientists from 13 different federal agencies concluded that climate change could slash the U.S. GDP by a tenth by 2100 if steps were not taken to try and limit the effects of climate change.
Some folks in the Midwest started this week with a bright flash as a meteor lit up the night sky. A meteor from the South Torrid meteor showers breached the atmosphere Monday night and fell as a fireball. A fireball is classified as a meteor that when it falls, it shines brighter than the planet Venus when visible from the Earth. Over 120 reports from 8 states, including anywhere from Minnesota to Nevada to Oklahoma, came into the American Meteor Society about the fireball. The South Torrid shower is debris from a passing comet and typically lasts from late October to early December. There is no peak of when the shower is most active, but the greatest activity is typically seen in early November. These showers are typically weak, though the average number of meteors that fall per hour is only 5. South Torrid showers do follow a 7-year cycle where there are incredibly active showers. The last active year was 2015, so the next one should be 2022. The track of the most recent fireball generally went from east to west, burning off somewhere over North Carolina. We now go to a feature by Matt Honig about climate.
We're living in the age of popular buzzwords such as the polar vortex and Arctic outbreak, but even though we've been dealing with harsh cold spells the past few winters, scientists are finding that these cold spells aren't lasting as long as they did several decades ago.
Climate Central analyzed 244 cities across the United States, looking at consecutive days of below normal temperatures during the winter months between 1970 and 2018. Of those 244 cities, 222 of them experienced cold streaks, averaging at least 1 day shorter since 1970. These graphs from Climate Central illustrate the downward trend among several cities across Pennsylvania. Here in State College, consecutive days of below normal temperatures have shortened by about 5 days in the past 50 years. Shorter cold snaps during the winter have led to more frequent temperature fluctuations, another indicator that winters are at least somewhat warming. In the Midwest, this has caused an increase in water main breaks, pipe bursts, and river ice jams. So who does this ultimately affect? Well, one industry being hit hard by these shorter cold snaps is winter recreation. Ski resorts are having to keep up with snow production since the snow is melting faster on the slopes. Snowmaking is only effective in a certain range of temperatures, and more days with above normal temperatures will make it difficult to manufacture snow. Ultimately, ski resorts may have to deal with shorter ski and snowboarding seasons. Agriculture is another industry that will reap the consequences of shorter cold snaps. Fruit trees require at least several hundred hours of chilling, typically below 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Brief warm spells during the winter can reverse any chilling and often can promote late blooms. When temperatures turn colder once again, this can damage many fruit trees and lead to millions of dollars in damage. For Up in the Air, I'm Matt Honig.
And we're back. So Logan, temperatures going into the latter parts of fall have felt a little more like winter. We've had temperatures that have rivaled the upper teens, and there was even a chance for all the states across the United States to reach below the freezing level.
Yes, it has been very cold. We even had some snowflakes earlier this week, and I think last week was the first flakes of the season for many of us in State College and across Pennsylvania. So now we're going to throw it over to Ryan at the Climate Wall, who's going to give us a look to see if this anomalously cold weather will continue.
That's right. I don't think it will continue, but we did have some Arctic chill here with temperatures in the 30s and the low 20s compared to our average high this time of year of 50 degrees and our average low of 34 degrees. And our record high this time of year, this time period, is 74 degrees back in 1956, and our record low was 12 degrees all the way back in 1933, so definitely really chilly. And let's take a look at our temperature outlook from this time period, valid November 20th to November 26th. Really the exterior part of the continental United States, higher chance of above normal temperatures, where the heart of the nation, about average chance of temperatures. And right here in California, the higher chance of above normal temperatures, and in the Four Corners regions, where if there is any precipitation, could be in the way of snow, because there's a higher chance of below normal temperatures, And right here in the upper Midwest, there's a higher chance of below normal temperatures. So if any of that snow that is still there will start to melt a little bit. And really our hotspot has been consistently in the Sunshine State in Florida, where there's a high chance of high chance of above normal temperatures. And in our neck of the woods, really there's a decent chance of above normal temperatures, really extending into the coastal regions where there's even a greater chance of above normal temperatures. Take a look at our our precipitation outlook from November 20th to November 26th. Looks like the Mountain West and the Central Plains a high chance of above normal precipitation, where everywhere else is pretty spotty. And the reason why we have been seeing wildfires in California, there's been a below normal precipitation and a high chance of above normal temperatures, so that's why it's going to continue. And as we extend that really into the Mountain West, really from New Mexico and Arizona and Colorado, there's a high chance of above normal precipitation extending all the way up into the plains. And our Sunshine State in Florida, there's a high chance of below normal precipitation and a high chance of above normal temperatures. From our neck of the woods, really everything's pretty average, with really the coastal regions there might be a high chance of above normal precipitation for this time period. Now let's take a look at that drought monitor. Really nothing much has changed, but there could be some changes heading into next week. Four Corners region, there's been consistently some moderate to severe drought, which actually may be relieved next coming week, so that's good news for those people in that region. But unfortunately in Texas, and as we look into Georgia and that panhandle of Florida, there won't be much of a change, unfortunately, as there will be some drier conditions, as we saw earlier in my forecast. And as we take a look in our neck of the woods, where we did see some moderate drought in our neck of the woods, and the Delmarva really has lessened with a lot of these past storms, so that's good news for our neck of the woods. Now, snow depth has really been changing. There's actually an anomaly in Brownsville and parts of Mexico where there is some snow. As we take a look in where we should see some snow this time of year, there really isn't much in the Pacific Northwest and the Colorado Rockies. But as we take a look in the Dakotas, we have been seeing a series of storms where there's a moderate snow depth as currently right now. And from our neck of the woods, we already did have that Arctic blast. It brought in the way of a big, pretty decent snowstorm, extending all the way to Kentucky, all the way to the spine of the Appalachians, but we only saw dusting right here in State College and the grassy surfaces, so not much to really report on right now. And there really isn't much to report on with the fall foliage, as everywhere right now is past peak. Let's take a look at that weekend forecast. This is another big Penn State football game, 36 degrees and sunny on Saturday, my pick of the weekend. And Sunday, partly cloudy skies with a high temperature of 41 degrees. So Joe and Logan, I don't know if you guys are going to the game, but it will certainly be a cool but nice weekend in store.
Thanks, Ryan. Yes, I am planning on going to the football game. Hopefully it's a redeeming game for Penn State compared to last weekend. But at least Saturday looks to be nice weather, at least sky-wise, for the football game.
It's true, and even though it is a noon game, it's certainly something you want to be weather prepared for, since there's not much time to celebrate beforehand, but there is afterwards. We want to thank you for watching this week's episode, but be sure to join us next week up in the air.